Well, hey guys, what is going on out there this afternoon? At least here in the California, the Southern California desert. 2:30 in the afternoon, Pacific time zone. Another episode of some tennis mindset training stuff. And today, speaking of stuff, we're working on the advanced stuff. And look, before we get into that, just a couple of reminders. And look, anytime you guys want to throw a comment in there or a question into the chat area, just feel free to do that. Always love reading those and responding to them as well. But yeah, before we get into the advanced stuff today, a couple reminders. Every morning at 8 a.m. Pacific, I go live with a new episode of What's the Right Shot. What's the Right Shot is a video where we cherry pick a point, and I pause the video at just as one of the players is about to play a shot, ask you what shot do you think is the right shot, and it's basically it's where do you want the ball to land over there, and then where do you want to move to next. Those are really the two things that make up what's the right shot. So that you start thinking more tactically, more geometrically about where to play your shots and then where to move to next on the court. And where to move to next on the court is typically you're trying to take time away from that opponent for them to recover. So yeah, again, every morning, 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific, a live version of what's the right shot here at YouTube and Facebook, and also X, formerly known as Twitter. And then, yeah, every afternoon, this time, 2:30 p.m. Pacific, I go live with a little nugget on something that has worked for me mentally or something that hasn't worked for me mentally. And that's every day as well at 2:30 p.m. Pacific. So look, guys, if you love the stuff we're working on here, please like, subscribe, and be sure to hit that notification bell on YouTube so that you get reminded every time I go live and or upload some new content. So let me tell you a quick story. Omar, always great to see you. Thanks for hanging out with me on what seems like a daily basis. I appreciate that. The advanced stuff. So when I worked with Tom Stow back in the day, and I was fortunate enough to be in this group of three other guys, and we would go up there every Wednesday morning up to Napa, California. This is in Northern California. And we'd get Tom, the great Tom Stow, legendary Northern California coach. If you know anything about him, he did some great coaching a long time ago, but his fundamentals, really his idea of how he expressed the game of tennis, unique, unlike anything I'd ever heard before. But so I was fortunate to be able to work with Tom for about 18 months before he passed away. And I'll never forget this one day. I'd been working with him for, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 sessions. So close to a month and a half, maybe 2 months. And I finally said, gosh, Mr. Stowe, when, we keep working on this same thing over and over again, when are we going to get to the advanced stuff? I just had this idea that there was some other thing that he was just keeping from me. And he looks at the gate to the court like, I wondered if I could just open that gate somehow and get this young guy out of here. And then he looks back at me and he said, don't ever ask me that question again. He said, when you master the stuff we're working on, when you master the basics, when you master the fundamentals, that becomes the advanced stuff. And that really hit me. I'm a little embarrassed at the time. And I said, okay, I'm sorry, I'll never ask you that again. But I really thought about that. And I said, God dang it, that is the secret to this game. That is really the important thing, is that we master the fundamentals, we master the basics. And when we do that, that's when we really become a much better player. And so, for me, I started making notes today and I started thinking about, what are the real, I just started listing them and I came up with 10 things that I think that I've kind of got from Tom, I've gotten from other guys, but that for me, I know that I work on these 10 things, not every time I go out in the practice court, but I'll pick one or two every time I go out. And when I do, the clarity in the game, it just gets whittled down to so much more clarity, such better, consistent shot choice. And rather than kind of thinking, well, there's some other thing out there that only a few players actually know about. And the message I got from Tom was, and the message I want to give to you today is that the advanced stuff is nothing more. And I say that, I don't mean that disrespectfully because it's tough, but is mastering the basics. And I know you've probably heard that a gazillion times, but it's true in this game that when you look, I'm going to read these off to you real quick. Number one is and I got this from Tom, and it's something that Jeff Jacklich, my good friend, great player, and great coach, we talk about a lot. That's posture and balance. When I worked with Tom, it was a 3-hour session. For the first 15 or 20 minutes, we didn't hit any balls. He would just move us around the court into different forehand common situations, backhand common situations, and make sure that we were on balance and that we had great posture. Because he was of the mind that if you're slightly off balance, you don't see the ball as well. You don't recover as well. You don't have the same kind of confidence if you're slightly off balance. So he made sure that we were always on balance. We always had great posture. And he didn't care what style you played. He didn't care if you were a pure baseliner, big time ground strokes, or more like me, where I wanted to just come on in behind everything. I wanted to play more serve and volley. I wanted to play more kind of chip and charge on the return, or look for a short ball to come in on. He didn't care what the style was, but his fundamental was when you do whatever you do, you got to have great posture. You got to have great balance. And when you do, you just seem to be much more of a consistent shot maker. Number two is that there's an instant. As soon as the ball's on your right, for example, if you're a right-handed player, obviously that's forehand. As soon as it's on your right is that you make an instant shoulder prep turn to prep the racket. And you do that with good posture. You do that on balance. You don't recognize the ball's over to your right and start leaning with the upper body and get off balance, right? So the next thing was spacing, right? What does spacing mean in tennis? What's the spatial distance you want away from the path of the incoming ball? Well, that's all footwork. That's all about footwork. Footwork is nothing more than you using your feet, you getting organized with your feet so that you're always creating the right spatial distance away from the path of that incoming ball, so that with your unique forehand, for example, is that you always get to receive the ball at just the same ideal point of contact for you. If we don't have the right spacing, if we're inconsistent with spacing, then shot mechanics become improvisational. And improv in tennis swing tag is not funny. It's the opposite. So we got to get footwork going in terms of a fundamental over and over and over again, so that we're creating the right spacing. Shot choice, rather than, we know the ball's on our right. Okay, it's going to be a forehand. Okay, that's kind of the initial shot choice. But then there's always this sub menu that comes down. Well, I could go up the line. I could go cross court. I could go up the middle. Hey, maybe I'll play a drop shot. No, maybe I'll loop it in there. You've got to be able to trust your initial shot choice. And when you do that, man, you have so much confidence, so much more confidence with executing it, rather than going through that sub menu of shot choices. And by the time you choose something, it's just too late. It's too late to commit to it. Once you do that, then you've got to be able to hit from a stable platform. And this is something that Jeff, my good buddy Jeff Jacklich, is really big on, is that you arrive with that framework already set up. Everything's prepped. You've got great posture. You got great balance. You've already done the footwork spacing, so that now when you arrive, you're not off balance. You can actually swing from a stable platform. Yeah, and sometimes a stable platform is you get to move through it, but that goes back to fundamental number one, which is posture and balance. You now can control, if you're going to move through it, you now can control the timing of that and not be off balance. The Fed head, look, for me, this is a big deal. You know how Roger looks like at contact, and the eyes just stay there. There's this swing freedom to go through the ball, but he's not sneaking a peek P-E-E-K. He's not looking out the landscape as he's making contact. That head, man, it just stays there. I mean, how many visions do we have of him hitting a backhand where he's just looking straight down at the contact point forever? And I have to practice that a lot. But for me, that's a basic. That is a fundamental that I have to work on. Doesn't matter what shot I'm hitting. Doesn't matter if it's a return to serve, a forehand, a backhand ground stroke, approach shot, a volley, a serve. Why jackknife too early before you've made contact? Overhead, same deal. Number 7 is fitness. It's a fundamental. It's a basic. It's you master fitness. You master the kitchen. You master the diet. You master all of the gym work. You do that. It's a fundamental. It's a controllable. It's a basic. When you do that, it becomes part of the advanced stuff. Number 8 are experiences. What are the experiences? Are you getting out there on the court often enough? For me, it's 6 days a week. I continue to practice experiences, meaning I've got drills, I've got practice partners, I've got practice sets. I filled my schedule up with tournaments, right? I've got different types of experiences over and over and over again. You can't, I mean, I tried this before where I would kind of go cherry pick. Oh, I'm only going to play that tournament because I feel like that surface is better suited for me. And I feel like, well, maybe some of the better guys won't play it for whatever reason. Dumb. No, I mean, what I realized over the decades is every time you have an experience, either with practice where you're getting beat up, you're getting tired, but you keep going, or whether you have an experience in terms of, I'm going to enter that tournament. I don't care who shows up. I don't care if there's some guy in my half of the draw that I just don't want to play against. This is just another opportunity to get better. That's a basic. It's a basic fundamental of the advanced stuff. Number 9 is mindset training. We got to control how we think. Is that not a basic? Is that not a fundamental? Yeah, well, when you learn how to do that, that becomes part of the advanced stuff. And then number 10 are tactics. You know, tactics for me used to be, well, what's my A game? And if my A game's not working, well, what's my B game? Unfortunately, my A game too often fed into their A game, and they were better at their A game than I was at mine. So then I try to come up with a B game based on their A game. Just never worked. And so what I really figured out eventually was, well, now, wait a minute. What's that guy's strength over there? Okay, this guy's got a thunder of a forehand. Why not nothing else tactically other than he's not going to hit any forehands today? Well, we can do that. We can direct every ball away from the forehand. Not saying you can do it 100% of the time, but tactically, that's your focus. All right, maybe he's got a weakness. Let's go probe. Let's go find that weakness. And once you find it, that's a basic. That's part of the advanced stuff. You find the weakness and you pick at it over and over and over again. Maybe he doesn't want you to serve and volley. Maybe he doesn't like that. Maybe he wants you to serve and volley because he likes the target. Okay, then we're going to go to something else. We're going to give him something he doesn't want, right? So maybe he's not fit. Maybe the guy doesn't want to move for drop shots and then get lobbed over his backhand. He might be okay for a set, but then you start to see, guess what? After a set and a half, you've drained the fuel tank. He's calling uncle. These are all 10 things that we need to practice as basic fundamentals. And when you master these 10, and I'm not saying it's all like a light switch that you just flip it on and off and now all of a sudden you got it, because it doesn't work that way. But once you master these, guess what? You're now into the advanced stuff. So anyway, look, any questions, let me know down below, or you can always shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. That email address is right there below me. So look, guys, again, hope you like today's episode. Again, like it, subscribe if you haven't, and then click that notification bell. And so you can get updated to anything new that I publish. Look, here's something I want to give you right away. If you haven't already picked it up, it's my complimentary, it's a free video. It's about 20 minutes long. It's private. It's not public. You got to sign up for it, which means just a first name and an email address. But go on over to webtennis.com, drop in that first name and email address, and you'll get access to my 4-step by step between points routine. It's the 80-20 reality, right? 80% of the time we're on the court in a match, We're not playing points. It's spent between points and on side changes. And when we manage that 80% of the time, you know what? That should be, well, that is part of the mindset training course, but that's a fundamental. That's a basic thing that when you control how you think and what you think between points, not only do you create clarity of how to start the next point, but that has a residual benefit. It just works its way into the point itself to where you have much better shot choice clarity. So if you're not managing that 80% of the time when we're not playing points well, yeah, it's kind of helter skelter. So look, I want you to get this course. It's free, like I said, first name, email address over at webtennis.com, and you can get that course for free. Guys, quick reminder. Well, again, the missing piece. This isn't a reminder. This is a full-blown course that if you really want to dive into the 5 mindset skill habits training that I do with a lot of students, here's where to start. Just go over to webtennis.com/SLR, the number 5, and then habits, and you'll get access to it. I think it's down below. It is down below in the description area. Guys, that's it for me today. Got a little blathery here. Got a little chatty. I try to keep this under 10 minutes, but today we're at 16 minutes. So I kind of got cooking today. Anyway, I hope this has been helpful. Let me know down below in the comments area, or just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Looking forward to seeing you guys tomorrow, either in one or both of the shows, the What's the Right Show, 8 a.m. Pacific, and then we do this 2:30 Pacific in the afternoon here in Southern California, in the desert, Rancho Mirage, California, live from the Mission Hills Country Club, as we do some mindset training as well. Guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. As always, we have to get out there. We got to help someone else have a great day. Gang, see you again next time.